Okay, so I keep getting worried that I'm gonna miss the peak moment for the rose border because I'm always trying to catch every year, trying to catch every single rose in bloom at the same time. And every year there's somebody who's not ready yet, probably because your girl keeps buying more roses. But I think we got it. I think this is the best it's gonna be. It's supposed to rain later today, so I thought I better get this now because the rain will probably knock a bunch of blossoms off. So let's get started. This, as a reminder, is my rose border. When I first moved into this house, I started with one rose and I thought, this is what I want to do long term, is have an entire wall of roses of different colors. And actually, oh, she's blooming. This was my first rose here, Lavender Simplicity. And I pruned, she had a bad year the year before last. And so I've been working on bringing her back because she technically should be the biggest in this entire thing. Because as the roses get more established, they get taller. But anyway, she deserves the point of honor as the first rose in my border to test out whether or not roses could grow here. So let's go down the line. Because this color scheme is all intentional. So we start here at the front with Sunshine Daydream, which is a rose that I planted in honor of the passing of my pug, Pugsley, because he always liked to pee on my prettiest flowers. And so I thought a yellow rose would be a good choice for him. Also, technically, in the language of flowers, yellow roses are supposed to mean friendship. It's an astoundingly beautiful rose. As you can see, let me find a really new bloom. So here you can see it starts out a lot more intense yellow, and then I feel like it's like buttery popcorn is what it ends up being. Let me smell to remind myself. It has a nice sweet fragrance, very pleasant, doesn't throw very far. Oh, here's a pretty one that's newer. Anyway, it's a great start to the entire wall. It really pops from the sidewalk. Next up is a Proven Winners variety called At Last. Oh, and I love how it goes from the yellow to the orange. That's on purpose. I was trying to do a bit of an ombre rainbow effect here. Now, At Last was one of the first, isn't that funny? At Last was one of the very first to bloom this season. So it's actually, you could see probably from the ground is a better indication that it's already thrown off a lot of petals, but we still got another round coming. This is a really great variety. It is very productive. But right now you can see it's we're back to some of the buds. Like this one, more full bloom. Well, part of what I love about roses is that you really do get a lot of blooms. Look back there, aren't those pretty? They're almost pink. Like Sunshine Daydream, you get a variety of colors. It kind of ages from a really intense pink orange up through these softer blossoms. What I was saying about roses is that bang for your buck, these things, as long as you keep on them deadheading, they'll keep giving you rounds of blooms all summer, and a lot of other flowers don't. Also, roses are really good at handling the heat around here, so I do like that too, that they actually seem to enjoy it. All right, moving on. This is Hot Cocoa. It's a rose that I saw at the Portland, Oregon Rose Garden that I just thought was so beautiful. In particular, it's red, but it's like a smoky red. So we'll have comparison to a different red right next door. Just as a reminder, we've gone from yellow to a peachy apricot orange. Now we're going into this smoky red. And it is just, look at how the petals have these little shapes on the end. Every rose is different. And that's also part of what gets me dang obsessed. Let's smell this guy. Yeah, this has more of like a perfumey, it's not quite an old rose fragrance. It's really not that strong. But it has a nice little perfume. I try to buy roses that have some sort of fragrance. which isn't always easy. And I should say, I forgot to smell this guy. Ooh, you want to smell it first? I wish we had smell-o-vision. Now, Atlas does have a nice, oh, there it goes. What you'd kind of expect from a rose scent. It's not strong, but I had a bouquet of these in my kitchen and it sure did throw pretty far there. So it's beautiful. Hot cocoa in bud shape is just so romantic, I think. Look at that. It's like, put that between your teeth and do a tango. Is good. All right, so that's hot cocoa. And now we move on to a different shade of rose, which is Beloved. See, for comparison, this is like a smoky orange red. And then we move into like a more bluish toned True Red. Oh, and I believe this is a Floribunda. You can see because one stem has a ton of different blossoms. And I love how they look when they are buds and when they're small, like when they're still pretty tight. And then they open up. You can actually see all the way through. There aren't as many there's not a high petal count on Beloved here. Let me get back so you can see. Probably have to do some more pruning because they always want to reach out. That's where the sun is shining on them. But it's also our driveway. So occasionally I have to come through. I might even have to look into staking this guy up because he's just, I don't know, balancing out. Something that's really cool about Beloved, as far as like seasonal interest, is that even before the blooms come out, the stalks, like the stems and canes on this rose, are also kind of red. I don't know if you can see by comparison to the canes on Hot Cocoa or Atlas, like it has this kind of like deep red color, which I think is really pretty. Originally, okay, in the ombre, I had planned to have a classic red rose here. Originally, I had planted Abraham Lincoln, but I think that it died, but I think that's user error. We have really heavy clay soil here in this bed, and usually I amend with extra garden soil and fertilizer, and I feel like I didn't do it when I planted Mr. Lincoln. And unfortunately, Mr. Lincoln died, so Beloved was my next choice in. Oh, a little bit of aphids. That's something I try to keep an eye out for, although at this point the roses are so big, I don't think it bothers them much. But anyway, that's my classic red. It's like the center when I come right out the door. Doesn't really, let's see, let's do our smell-o-vision. Yeah, it has a nice rose scent. Most of these don't really throw major fragrance, but they all do have a nice scent to them. Next, we get from red to pink, and this one, oh boy, Sweet Mademoiselle is a beast. I mean, I pruned all of these guys back probably to about here, about waist height, as they were starting to bud out this spring. And Sweet Mademoiselle, I think, is the one who's going to claim the height award this year. Oh, she's a hybrid tea, and oh my gosh, like look at this. These blooms are huge, huge, absolutely huge. They look like they're lit from within. Very high petal count on Sweet Mademoiselle. Look at that. And Sweet Mademoiselle does smell sweet. It's got like, I'd say like a peach nectar kind of smell. Oh, it's really good. The blooms last a long time. Oh, excuse me. I just drank my coffee and this is like my morning voice. And the girls are going to battle because, you know, what morning would be without a epic Doge battle. Something I wanted to point out as I was cleaning things up yesterday. I mean, check out, let me put my hand for context. Check out the size of these canes. Sweet Mademoiselle is tough. And doing really fantastically in this garden. So that's, I cannot recommend her highly enough. Oh, see, this is the thing though, I seem to pick the ones that are ready to go. What I try to do every day is just look for spent blossoms. If I feel festive, we have a little party. Woohoo! That didn't go very far. Oh well. But yeah, if you keep up on the deadheading, then that usually encourages more blooms. and it just looks prettier. All right, back to our Pioneer baby, Lavender Simplicity. I'm so excited because last summer it was coming back. The year before, I thought I killed it. I think I pruned it back way too hard, and I think perhaps it needed more fertilizer. Yeah, I went after it really hard last summer with fertilizer, keeping it watered, and she's coming back. She's a shrub rose. A shrub rose basically means that it's a hedge rose, sorry. What am I saying? Hedge roses are supposed to end up being like a hedge. They're supposed to get this big. Although our girl here, see, a tea rose, like a tea is usually one blossom per stem. So, you think of it as your traditional bouquet rose. This guy, let me see, do I still have her sign down here? Yeah. Lavender Simplicity, hedge rose. I need to redo my signs. They're getting a little worn, but they've lasted. You can see on her stem, multiple blossoms coming up. And the smell, okay. Fragrant as heck. This one has a very strong citrus smell, like a little bit like grapefruit, I would say. Oh, I can smell it already. A little bit like citronella too. This rose was the first one I bought for this hedge, and it's because I could smell it across the garden center, and I just love the color. It'll be this, right now it's very pink looking, but it'll be mostly like a lavender, you can see kind of inside. And it's supposed to be, simplicity indicates it should be an easy to care for rose. And I'm hoping I'm learning how to care for it. I think I just gave it a rough start. All right. So, color reminder, we've gone from yellow to orange, smoky red, into more classic red, this pinky peach, gone to lavender, and now we come to a purple. And boy, oh boy, oh, she's living her life this year. This is Ebb Tide. Look at this. Oh my God. I gotta get this shot. Come on, leaves. You're blocking all the beauty. Okay, we'll let it be. So, what a freaking beautiful rose Ebb Tide is. Let me see if I can grab. Yeah, it's a Floribunda. I was checking my little tag. Floribunda, again, means that you're gonna have multiple blossoms per stem. So like I'm holding one stem, and look how many blossoms we have both already and to go. Ebb Tide I bought because it is a purple rose, and I really do like purple. And what's super cool about this variety is that depending on the temperature, you get a really deep purple, or it can be, when it's really hot, it goes fuchsia. And that's, to me, that's really fascinating. Again, you're getting like multiple looks per rose. And the smell, holy crap. Okay, so Lavender Simplicity is like a citrus. Ebb Tide is what they call it, like a spicy clove scent. I'm gonna smell it again. Oh man, yeah. Here's your smell-o-vision. Take a deep breath, enjoy. It is like, it's got more spice to it. I still smell a little bit of citrus in it. It is sublime, just such a good smell. And it had a very rough year. Again, I think they needed fertilize because Lavender Simplicity, the Ebb Tide was doing better than Lavender Simplicity. Ebb Tide struggled at first, and then it got established and looks amazing. This is going to be a great year though, I feel like, for Ebb Tide. Usually I just get like 2 to 3 blossoms on it, but I think this might be the year. It's looking amazing. But yeah, Ebb Tide is a gorgeous rose. Smells amazing, looks amazing. Does not stop dogs from fighting. All right, here's an iris. I planted iris in this border because I thought that would be a nice compliment, but the iris really didn't take off anywhere except for right here. So pardon this break in the pattern. Here's what I mean. I've been waiting for some of these newer roses that I planted. Like Ebb Tide was newer. This guy and this guy were newer. Waiting for them to open up because they're not as established, so it takes a little while. But here, this is Just Joey. I believe that's a David Austin rose. Yeah, oh yeah, it's a hybrid tea. Look, sometimes I need to do new plates, planter plates, but Just Joey is a hybrid tea. It is just really pretty. It's gonna have a bit like At Last, it's gonna have this peachy color, which I really like, but it's a bigger blossom. Again, it's a hybrid tea, so it'll be one blossom per stem, but usually that's a bigger blossom. Whereas, oh my God. Whereas At Last has a ton of blossoms per stem, which is also lovely. It's just a different vibe. Has a very sweet smell, but it's not quite open yet. I planted this guy, I think, last year as a bare root, and so it's coming along. And at the end of our little hedge wall here, rose wall here, is a really pretty little lady, and that is Our Lady of Guadalupe. Look at this one. So beautiful. This rose, I think this one isn't supposed to get as tall as the other ones, which was an oversight on my part in the sense that I still had this vision of having everything be kind of the same height and being a wall of color. But I'm not mad about it because this is a beautiful rose. It's got like the leaf shape is so different. Like, for example, look at, usually with the other roses, they have these leaves that are kind of more rounded, at least in my collection. And then Our Lady of Guadalupe has these beautiful, like more pointed, delicate leaves that have this like bronzed kind of look to them. It's just really pretty. And the blossoms are so sweet. I mean, it's like a silvery pink as opposed to like a warm pink, I would say. And I want to get you a sense. The edges of the roses petals have this little sort of notched, pointed effect. It's just a lovely freaking addition to the garden. Here's your smell-o-vision. Yeah, let me see if I can smell one. Except they're down really low. I'm gonna have to get really low. Please hold. Yeah, that's when you think of a rose smell. Not an old rose. It doesn't have like a musky smell. It's a very sweet rose smell. And again, you can see aphids are everywhere. They mostly just, oh, hi. Hello. You want to smell too? The girls are worried. They're like, why are you down so low? Anywho, it has like a sweet classic rose smell. And there's a ton of blossoms. Look how bright. Like, buds amaze me. The colors are so intense. And then they unfurl. Oh, it's gonna be a good. Oh, look at this one. Look at how deep it is. The color on the outside and then lighter on the inside. Beautiful. So, that is the rose border proper. And again, I need to recheck. I know Lavender Simplicity should get as high as that. I'm not sure about Ebb Tide. I need to check these guys on the end. It wouldn't be the worst if they all stayed shorter, because honestly, I feel like I have a lot of impact there. This provides some variety. But yeah, that's what the... Oh, Lavender, you're looking so cute. So that's what I call the rose border looks like. But of course, I've started tucking in roses in other places, so let's go do that just to give you a little context. Because I keep wanting to do a full garden tour, but I keep having things I want to do before I show it to you. So bear with me. This is the one we missed because I waited too long. But this is White Licorice. It's a tree rose. I bought this from Jackson Perkins. Pro tip, every year around this time, like end of May, beginning of June, they have a big sale including their tree roses, and that's when I buy. That's when I have bought, because that is when, sorry, I'm taking off aphids while we're talking. That is when you can get a very cheap tree rose. It's still going to cost you money for shipping, because that's the thing. They have to ship them in special long boxes. So you're still going to pay for shipping, but that's where at least the ticket price goes down. Now here's an example of what that looks like. So I think 2 years ago, I bought White Licorice. That's a 24-inch tree. And then this year I saw a sale for a 36-inch tree rose. And this one is called Show Your Stripes. And it says color white, but actually this one, I'll see if I'm trying to keep this video simple editing wise so I can just post it. but it's going to have blossoms that are like purple and white. And I've always wanted a striped rose, and I thought this was a good choice. So this is what I'm setting up a video to show you how I actually planted this guy. But when you buy a bare root tree rose, this is pretty much what it looks like. It'll have just the bare roots at the bottom when you open the box, and then what it'll usually have is some budding out of the branches. At least Jackson and Perkins always does a nice job. You can see there's like a bud here. I can see it's a little, I think I see a bud here, and then up here it's like really budded out. But I really like tree roses because there's certain parts of the garden where the sunshine is actually a little bit higher because of all these trees and things here. So it can actually still catch the sun. I can move them around as I want. It's a good option, but you do have to pay for shipping. You will have to pay for a large container that you can use for a long time. It is what it is. It's a trade-off, but I'm really excited to see this guy bloom. White licorice already bloomed. The name gives you a sense of the scent. It has sort of a medicinal, like lemony licorice scent, and the blossom is yellow and white. It's beautiful. That was a good choice. All right. Continuing on roses that haven't bloomed yet, over here we have Tangerine Skies Arbor Rose. I had this in a different location last year and almost killed it. I thought I did kill it. I don't think it had rich enough soil where I'd put it along my fence line. So I moved it over here, and boy, it is, thank God, like it sat all winter in here in this raised bed. And I thought, oh, well, you know, we'll see. If it's dead, it's dead, and I'll get something else. But nope, it came back and it's looking really good. There's even a little flexible cane coming out this way that I'm going to try to keep training. An arbor rose is a climbing rose, and this one's tangerine color, and it's buddy right here. I've been trying to play with interplanting clematis with roses this year, and so that's Josephine. And hopefully they'll work together and intertwine. I'm excited, but that one's not going to give us much yet. That's just how it is. The girls are chilling. I like it. All right, let's go over. These are just all the outliers. I filled up the rose border. Ah, yay. Okay. So over here is this is a special rose to me because this is from my grandpa and grandma's rose hedge that they had. Not hedge, but like they had a stone slate fence, a wall all around their house, and they had this rambler rose planted, and it would spill over the top. It had beautiful blossoms, and my parents took a cutting, and then they took a cut, and then from that cutting they grew a cutting for me, and I planted it, and it's doing very interesting things. It's definitely happy, but the main plant is actually right. There's a big cane here. There's a little cane here. There's a Lucky who is right in the middle of my shot. Come on. The risk right here is that this is like the dog area. I keep planting, like these are all my old daffodil blooms from this year, bulbs from this year. I'm just gonna see who comes back. But what it seems to have decided to do, mostly, like it seems okay over here a little bit, but it seems like it wants to go up over here, and then it's rambling for sure towards the fence, and that would be, well, it's not really a fence, it's like a garden edging, but I like it. Ramblers are supposed to be able to get really big, so I will keep an eye on this girl for sure. But it's starting to bud out. It'll have these kind of, I remember them being more burgundy, but I think that's the fall bloom. Right now they're looking kind of pink, but there'll be these tiny little blossoms, and it's just gonna ramble around. But again, it's kind of a family heirloom in plant form, and I'm really glad it's coming back. All right, let's see if we should just walk it. Let's do it. Then I don't have to edit so much. Lots of projects still going on in the garden, which is why I haven't gone through and shown you every single thing yet. But let's go ahead. I've got 2 last roses to show you. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. Hi. Harley is concerned. But she's very good. What a good girl. Yeah, you stay right there. What a good girl. She knows the drill. All right, so 2 more roses to go. No, 3. I keep forgetting. All right. This is Alex's lemonade stand. And it is, what am I saying? You can probably see. It is a yellow rose. My thinking was that the light yellow was right here, and maybe I'd continue on to a deep yellow here. And boy, Alex's lemonade stand, along with a percentage of the proceeds of the sale of this rose going to help with cancer research for children, which is far more beautiful than any rose I can think of. The rose itself has this really intense, undiluted yellow. Like I think you can see it. There is a slight color variation from an opening bud to a full bud, but it's not as much. And that's something when you're thinking about your roses and your blooms, you can think about whether or not you want something that changes a lot or doesn't change much at all. I like having a variety. Ooh, smell-o-vision on this one? Light peach, I would say. It's sweet. This one is another sweet rose. Aren't you pretty? And also, it's taken on a lot of great height this year already. I'm waiting for it to show up, but I'm planning on planting an elderberry shrub behind it. It's called Laced Up, I believe, so it stays really vertical. And that'll be like a deep purple. And I'm hoping that's going to be a really nice combo, because this bed in general is supposed to be like yellow, cream, and blue. That's what I try to go. So like yellow, gold, and blue. Yellow, white, and blue. I don't know. The white portion can kind of fade and go, but that's the theme I try to stick with in this bed. All right. And then over here, second to last rose. The aphids are everywhere, and what I'm trying to do is keep things organic this year. In the past, I have sprayed a little bit more, but I'm trying to see if I can get away with not doing that, because I do want more pollinators. And we are, being near Detroit River, we are like on a migration path for monarchs, so I'm trying to be better about it. This is Cloud 10. It is a climbing rose that's going to have a white blossom, and my vision here was to let it take over this complete arbor right here on our driveway garden. And it's just getting started. It actually, just recently I've been trying to start to train up a cane, but we'll see. And the interplanting here is with Clematis Duchess of Cornwall, which, boy, these two took a beating. We had a hot spell come through, and so you can see there's some of these burnt leaves from when it was super duper hot. And the reason I have these white pots here is I'm trying to protect the roots, because clematis like cool roots, sunny leaves. And I think it's doing all right, because over here you can see the new growth popping up. Duchess of Cornwall has a deep purple blossom. You can actually see some of the spent blooms back there, and I thought that'd be pretty to interplant a deep purple blossom with the white of the Cloud 10. So fingers crossed that's gonna turn out okay. And then I wanted to finish on like the most dramatic note possible, besides the rose border, because that's like as good as it gets. This is my Coco Loco rose. I planted this, like, I thought I was done planting roses, but then I saw this one in the catalog and I was like, oh, I have to have it. Because I do like the smokier roses, the roses that have a bit of a brown tone to them. And Coco Loco, this blossom is almost done, by the way. It's, oh, geez, aphids, get out of there. I could do a whole video about just what I do about aphids. This is another blossom that will change depending on the temperature. The description said that it can go from like a chocolate milk color, which you can kind of almost see on the side, to more of a really dusty pink, and boy is it pretty. Smell-o-vision wise, it's a little peppery. It's got a little bit of spice to it. And like Our Lady of Guadalupe, it kind of has those like pointed petals on the end. It is glorious. Pretty sure she's a hybrid tea. Do I still have? Let's see. Sometimes I do. Yeah, I do. What's a Floribunda? Sorry. So, let's see. Height, it's going to get to be about 4 feet tall, so it's got some growth too. But this is its first full season. Oh, I felt the petals go, so here we go. You got to see it. You got to see it before she went. But there's more blooms coming for sure. I'm really excited about this one. And it goes well with my peony. Not a rose, obviously, but I feel like it's very romantic over here. we got these beautiful white billowy peony blooms. This peony is in its, I think, 3rd year, and it's doing really great. Oh, look at how, wow. Look at how the blooms look on Coca-Cola to start. I mean, that's a huge color difference. Crazy, isn't it? To those petals. I love it. I love roses all day, every day. Probably still gonna find more spots to tuck them in, but that is the end of the rose tour in June, which is the classic for us. Like, June is when the first bloom happens. Oh, look at this pretty girl next to them, huh? So, it's probably gonna rain today and knock these guys down a little bit, but they'll love the drink. And like I said, June is when they first start to bloom, but then they'll basically take a little break, small break. I'll try to clean up the shrubs, their shape, get rid of any dead heads that need to go, probably give it another round of fertilizer, and then it'll probably bloom again in another couple of weeks. I mean, these roses will bloom all summer. They just take little breaks in between. And boy, I'm really proud of, this has been years and years in the making, getting this sort of gradation of colors and planting different roses and taking care of them. So this is a reminder that sometimes it takes time, and it's still not completely done because I'm waiting for those roses on the end to kind of take over as well. Oh, I know, I'm sorry. I'll come back in a second. But anyway, you can do it too. It just takes time and effort and a whole lot of obsession with roses. All right, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Now that I'm almost done with all the little random things I wanted to do around the garden, I'm hoping to do more filming as things go. So stay tuned and talk to you later. Say bye, Harley.